Hello, my name is Lorianne Cole, and I'm here to talk about the history of adventure games. Adventure games are interactive storytelling through exploration and puzzle solving. They involve usually a third-person character that you've maneuvered across the screen. You had interaction with the environment and with other non-player characters. It always involved puzzle solving of some sort and decision-making. The first adventure game was Adventure. This was the paragraph that woke people's imaginations and created a world that people could get involved in and created the game industry. Infocom was the first to take it and run. It had games like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, written by Douglas Adams, and it had imaginary worlds that you traveled to along with your companion, Floyd the robot. The first graphic adventure was invented by Roberta Williams, and she and her husband formed the company Sierra Online. Sierra Online took the games to many different worlds and many different places. It was the first games to have female protagonists. It started to attract a large female audience, and it had female game designers. The King's Quest was the game that everybody played if they played an adventure game at this period of time. Space Quest brought snarky humor in a science fiction setting. Leisure Suit Larry brought naughty humor and adventure with amusing death sequences. Quest for Glory was a game I helped create, and it involved role-playing into the adventure game market. And then Gabriel Knight by Jane Jensen brought the horror and the mystery back into the game. However, LucasArts formed, and it stole the adventure game crown away from Sierra with wildly inventive games with a de-emphasis on the death and dying and an emphasis on fair puzzles. Monkey Island allowed the players to become a wannabe pirate. The Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis was a brilliant game which really allowed you to experience what it's like to be in the adventure story of a movie. Day of the Tentacle brought very, very wacky humor and wacky art style to entertain people. And Grim Fandango brought the world of the Day of the Dead with film noir, and it was the last adventure game for LucasArts. And that, they said, was the death of adventure games. Adventure games were too expensive. They were too labor-intensive because you had to craft every article and every item of the game. They were designer-centric because you'll see most of these things, most of the games I've listed here have a strong authorial value and a designer that really controlled the team and controlled the fate of the game rather than a committee. They were very cerebral rather than visceral, and they did not appeal to that mass market that we all wanted to reach out there. The appeal of adventure games, though, was the multiple genres. You could cover cyberpunk to romance. It had strong emotional appeal. It had a lot of humor. It had a lot of, it could have horror. It could have poignancy. And the impact of adventure games is that it required problem-solving skills. It taught that persistence is a virtue. The only way to lose is to quit, and that mistakes are no big deal. Adventure games, though, didn't really go away. While the modern publishers don't touch them right now, smaller companies have continued to keep the genre alive. And Kickstarter came up to give fans a chance to support the games they wanted to see. Telltale continues to this day to create episodic adventure games with some of the biggest brands on the market. The designers from that 90s period continued to create games and that are award-winning and well-received in the world of things. And Broken Age, of course, is one of the biggest Kickstarter projects that ever was out there. And it has created a documentation process of just how chaotic and wild it is to create an adventure game. Thimbleweed Park brings Ron Gilbert back to the game thing, and this is a game coming out this year, and it's giving the flavor of the 90s back to the adventure game field. And we're creating Hero U Rogue to Redemption, which again connects the vision of adventure games with the role-playing experience. So yes, indeed, adventure games are alive and well, and they're still very fun to play. Thank you.